All right, good evening, everyone. It's here for Enyumre Yada Nyamia CBM for Akonya Odia Mae. Sir, yesan ade yesika sem no ade bre yehina Monfanchan. We know it's been a while, but this time of the year, no, Nioma I so busy. But at the end of the day, no, and Nam said yɛni agye what we do no ho any information we know sɛ it's making a difference ɛwɔ obi ɛbrɛ mu no nti no ɛna all the time yɛtry sɛ make it time na yɛaba na yɛne yɛn nyinaa no abɛhyɛ biribi ɛfa yɛsikasɛm ho nti anwummerɛ yɛbɛma Dr. Wa Akwaba to ɛna yɛdwumadie no so Doc, if you have some few words for our viewers before we get into it.
Was that for mature, y'all? Once again, it's always a pleasure to be back. Every week. So, yes, we are busy, but we do the best we can to make sure we show up for you guys. So,
yeah. Thank you so much, Doc. And for the last several weeks, now try to differentiate what is the difference between renting and also purchasing. And and they have worried about purchasing, some of the advantages of purchasing, and also the disadvantages of that. Who say it's not one size fits all. Or as an individual, I say to me assess one your situation. Sometimes renting will be like the best option for you, and sometimes you think say okay, based on my situation right now, I have found like the perfect job. This is the perfect area for me. I'm probably going to live here for more than your friends 2 years, maybe 5 years plus. So then you consider about buying. And enumerate a transition kakra na call into mortgage. Into the question it becomes once I have made that decision to be able to find a place that I can call like my home, a place that you have access to make changes to whatever you need to do, either interior or exterior, a place that whatever you need to do, now you are the decision maker. Nobody makes that decision for you. You make that decision in terms of what you want to do to the house and with the house and all. Until you have made that decision, so you want to purchase. And a lot of us, you take mortgage. And as we begin to decide what to buy, where to buy, we wish to say, and we have the cash. Anka Yakotofia, you just write a check. You find a house, it's maybe like 100,000, 200,000. You write a check, you pay it, boom, you are gone. But unfortunately, no, it's not the case. It is part of the world where we are there, in order for you to be able to purchase your fence or that house or no. Doug, so you can't mortgage to help our viewers and our listeners what is mortgage? When in the layman's term, what is mortgage? And or be consider you said the term so many times, but some of us we don't even know what it is. And once you have to say mortgage, but we don't know what it is.
Yeah, sure. I mean, a lot of times when you did a very nice job. What you mentioned, what you said earlier, right, about renting and owning, right? Obviously, you cannot have a mortgage on a rental apartment, right? You're renting from the landlord, right? But when you have a mortgage, you are not a landlord, of that property, right? Mortgage meaning that you have taken out a loan from the bank or an institution to be able to purchase, right, the property, and you are now owing, right, money to whatever place you borrowed the money from, right? Mortgage, right? So, pretty much you have ownership of that property that you just bought, but you don't own it until you pay off that debt that you just took out to go buy that property, right? So really the biggest difference between renting and owning is that renting, you are renting a place, or you're either a room or a house from somebody who has a mortgage on that particular property and is the sole person that's responsible for making that payment on that mortgage. As a renter, you there's some responsibilities, but not as much as the person that owns the house. If anything goes wrong on that house, if there's any default on that house, it affects the person who took out the loan on the house, right? As a
Mhm.
renter, all you're responsible for is making your monthly payment and sometimes utilities if it's not included in your rent. But as the landlord, or as a person that has a mortgage under their name, right? You are
Mhm.
solely responsible for making that monthly mortgage payment on that house, no matter what your economic situation is. Whether you don't have money or whether you have money, you are expected to make that payment. So the responsibility is quite major. But also, the more responsibility, also the more opportunity, right? Because as the
Mhm.
owner of the house, as the property is increasing in value, right, and as you also paying the house down, whether it be it your own money or whether be it you're renting to renters, you'll also benefit from that value increase and also for that mortgage pay down, right? Eventually,
Mhm.
let's just say you borrow $500,000, right? And you've had the house for about 10 years, right? And the
Mhm.
house have now gone up, is now worth, let's say, 650, right? You have that 150 increase in the appreciation, and also because you are paying down the monthly mortgage, right? Or you have a renter paying it down, you also benefit from that, debt pay down. So when you go sell that house, you're going to owe the bank not
Mhm.
500 that you bought it for, right? You're going to owe the bank less than that, because over the years you've been paying down their mortgage. So maybe you might owe the bank maybe 300. So like now, if it's worth 650, you now own you now own the difference between the 300 that you owe the bank and the 650,
Right.
right? That is the house is now worth. So you can imagine how much money you can pocket when you sell that house, right? So although you have a lot of responsibility, right, of making sure you upkeep the house and you make the mortgage payment, you also have a lot of what, the fruits of the labor, for
Yeah.
like, as the property is increasing in value, especially in a neighborhood where everything can tend to appreciate significantly, or in a neighborhood where values tend to hold very strong over a long period of time. So, there's no bad, way to either rent or own, right? It's all about preference, and it's all about what state of life you are currently in,
Mhm.
right? If you're in a place where money's a bit tight and you are not able to really make ends meet, maybe renting might be a cheaper route to go, right?
Mhm.
But if you are financially stable and financially fit, and you have enough sufficient money down to put down to down payment and still make your monthly mortgage payments, and still have enough money down in case something breaks in the house and fix, then you might be in a position to be able to go buy. But
Mhm.
sometimes even people who are in a position to go buy, they don't want to buy because they don't want to deal with the responsibility of owning the house. So sometimes, just because somebody's in an apartment, it does not mean that they can't afford to buy a house. Maybe they just prefer to be in an apartment because it's less responsibility. They don't have to worry about cutting their grass. They don't have to worry about something breaking the apartment. They call the landlord come and fix it. So it's just easier for them, right? So they're not
Yeah.
tied down. They can break the lease whenever they want. They can just pay whatever lease, the lease breaking fee, and they can move on. With a house, you can't just go pay a breaking fee, because if you stop paying that mortgage on your house and you walk away, it is going to tank your credit. You're going to go into foreclosure and and potentially bankruptcy, which can significantly damage what, your credit. So there's a lot more time to owning,
Mhm.
but also a lot more benefits as well when it comes to owning. And so it's really about, where you are in your life and what you desire to achieve, right? Me particularly, I desire to own not just my primary residence. I desire to own other properties that I could eventually rent out or use for other purposes, right?
Yeah.
That's my preference, right? But somebody else might have the money and might have the means, but they just want to what? Rent. So, and that doesn't mean that it's bad. It just means that's what they prefer to do, and that's what makes them happy, right? So, not everybody wants to have significant responsibility, So, but if you are in a place where you're not ready to buy, but you desire to buy, it's nothing wrong with renting for the meantime while you get yourself together to be able to go buy a home.
All right, Doc. Yeah, there was so much for breaking it down, no, and also no going into details, about some of the things that we've talked about in the past,
Sure.
Now we're merging into this, and into yet here for if I would join here, I say I'm back too, and no. Your topic for today, it's about mortgage. What mortgage is all about. Now, Sonia, Doctor, yet here, no. So mortgage is a loan. And your loan, you are taking that loan to buy a property.
Yep.
And you cannot just go into a bank, walk into a bank and tell them, sir, you want a mortgage. Yeah. And they just give you the mortgage without showing them, sir, this is the house I'm planning on purchasing. It doesn't work that way.
That's right.
Until mortgage, any if goes hand in hand.
That's right.
If you go to a bank, you want a mortgage, there has to be a house who use you as a collateral for them to give you that loan. Now, also remember, sir, as a bank, they also need to make money.
For sure.
So as they give you that loan, it's not for free. It's not interest free.
Of course.
They also have to make money. And
significantly.
Yeah. Significant.
Significant. It's no small thing. It's a significant amount of interest.
Oh, yeah.
That's why they would gladly give that money. Because it's in the bank. It's not doing nothing.
Right.
But when they lend it to the appropriate borrower, they know over the course of years they can make a lot of money. Like sometimes they can, by the time you finish paying them, if you take all 30 years, you'd have bought them a house or two more.
Yeah, very very true.
Man, the bank, they're not stupid, man. They don't think the bank is there to be your friend. They are there strictly to make money. Yeah. Right? So
yeah, and see, thank you so much, for bringing that up, because some of us, maybe we are thinking, I can get a mortgage with a 0%. We wish that is the case. No, but it's not the case. Into the bank, they need to also make money. Into there's an interest rate attached to that mortgage now. Into like Dr. West said, also. Mortgage now, it's a loan against a house.
Yep.
And if you do that, Yamao option, sir, you can pay that the normal in here like 30 years. If you think you can afford it, you can do a 15-year mortgage.
Yep.
And if you think, sir, maybe you have that financial strength, maybe you can do a 10-year mortgage near there. But preferably, banks will like you to do a 30-year mortgage.
Of course.
Because the longer they extend it, and almost it will make it your finance
definitely
more money.
Definitely.
Yeah, and as Dr. West said, take for example, you take out maybe like a $200,000 mortgage. Wako Bank, they give you the loan, you purchase the house, for 30 years. At the end of the 30 years, it's easy for you to pay close to about $700,000 for that mortgage.
A house or two more.
Yeah. Depending on the interest rates now. And in a nutshell, a mortgage, is a loan that we take against a house. You cannot take a mortgage to purchase a car. Or you cannot take a mortgage to purchase like a boat. But you do that as a house, we use you as a collateral to do that.
Yeah.
Into that, one of the things maybe break it down, differentiate what a mortgage is, and what boy to be able to know if I want to rent some of the benefits near and looking at your situation and then making that decision. We have types of loans out there, like mortgage loans out there, and some of it were conventional loan, were fixed rates, were adjustable rates, and were FHA, were USDA, VA loans, jumbo loans, and all that. And see, let's take it, like one by one, and look at some of these things. And see, now I'm ready to like purchase a house. I'm a first time home buyer. And I'm out there trying to, your friend is purchase a house. And there are all these different types of loans out there. How do I make a decision in terms of what loan to go for?
Yeah.
And that's your friend is saying, is this something that I have to decide, or the bank has to decide for me what type of loan for me to go for?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think that takes some research on your part, right? You don't just kind of just run to one particular bank, right? You have to maybe look at 2, 3, or 4 different banks, and because they all may offer you different rates or interest rates on all those different products, right? And also some of those products are specific to military base, military employees, right? For example, if you're in the Army, Navy, whatever it is, you can qualify for some of those like VA loans, right? But somebody who don't have any military background or don't have any military service cannot go and apply for a VA loan, right? So there's special kind of loans where those loans, like a VA loan, you can go to a bank if you're active duty military, or let's say a veteran. You can go to a bank and say, "Hey, I'm an active duty, or I'm a veteran," and you can get a house, right? Within reason, you can get a house, and a lot of times you don't have to put no down payment because of how the program is designed. But just because you don't put no down payment, it doesn't mean it's free. It's going to cost you somehow, somewhere, because why? There's something called funding fee. That funding fee is a percentage of the entire loan that they're giving to you. And what it do is, let's just say it might be 1.5%, right? So they will take 1.5% of the loan that they're giving you, and then they will add it on the back end of your loan, right? So you're going in, you're not paying no down payment, right? But on the back end, you're going to pay for it, right? So you're able to get into a house easier with a VA loan, because why? The barrier of entry is less, because you put down very little to no down payment, right? So those can be very attractive, right? And also, a lot of times the VA loans have the best rates in the mortgage industry, because they're designed for service men, right? So it's pretty much, hey, thank you for your service. We want to give you all the benefits that we can give you, right? So they can be very, very appealing if you qualify for it, right? Now, you might have, let's just say, FHA, right? FHA, a lot of times it can be, a great way to borrow money, right? A lot of time FHA loan, you may need to bring down less down. You can't be no down payment, but a lot of times it's going to be less down payment compared to a conventional loan, right? A lot of times FHA loans, all you might need to bring down maybe like 3.5% down payment, right? 3.5%, and that's all might be enough to be able to get you that loan. And also, a lot of times it depends on your income, the area you're trying to buy, and so forth. So there's a lot of different factors that go into deciding which one might be the best fit for you. But the great thing is to find a loan officer who's an expert in what they do, who have a lot of experience in what they do, because depend on your background or your status, they might know and advise you on which one to get, right? Now, some of those loans, if you make too much income, you don't qualify for it. Right? Some assistance, and they have these first-time home buyers. If your income is within a certain range, you might be able to qualify for it, right? And depending on the city or the county or the district that you're living in, they have different programs you can qualify for that eventually allow you to bring less to the table and be able to buy your first home, because why? They want to encourage home buying. Right? Now, if you make a good amount of money and you don't qualify for those things, you can go for a conventional loan. A lot of time, conventional loan minimum, you need to bring down 5%. So if you're going to try to buy a house, you have to realize that you have to be able to put down minimum 5%. So you have to, hey, if I want to go buy a $700,000 house, I have to make sure that I'm able to put down that 5% and my income can qualify for it. Right? So these are the different kind of loans. Under the USDA, they have the different ones, and they all have their own benefits, right? But the key thing is to sit down with an expert loan officer who can give you really the details of what you can qualify for, depending on your income, status, whether you're first time or whether you're second time home buyer. There's a lot of different factors that go into, figuring out which one works the best for you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Doc, for breaking this thing down.
Sure.
And you said something which is really important, sir. You need to seek the advice of the expert.
Very, very, very important.
And sir, because I always tell people a mortgage is pretty much like a lifetime commitment.
Yeah.
I mean, you're making a commitment. It can affect you now. It can affect your family in the future and everything that you do. So don't just jump into it to say, okay, now I want to buy a house. I've seen this house, so nice. I jump into it. Nah, Miankasa, I'm trying to do. No. Like Dr. Ewa said, seek the advice of the experts.
Definitely.
Sit down with someone now or go through like a breakdown analysis of everything, the pros and cons of what you're getting yourself into. And based on that, you make like an informed decision. One of the most popular loans now, a lot of us, we get into the FHA loan. Because the FHA loan, which is the Federal Housing Administration loan, is backed by the federal government. And to that, and Dr. Wan mentioned it, the down payment on there is about 3.5%, which is great. And a lot of people you can save towards that. Now, the caveat, and I said the catch, what that type of loan, which a lot of people they see this after the fact, and it's because it's the loan is backed by the federal government, they also want to make sure, just in case you default, the bank, they are also guaranteed, they will get their money back. So what they've done is there is something we call mortgage insurance, insurance. So they also calculate like a percentage of the loan as a mortgage insurance. So it's mandatory. You don't have a choice to say, do I take it or I don't take it?
And it can be significant sometimes.
Yes.
It can be significant.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I've seen some people, mortgage insurance in Kwan is almost about like $400. Or it could be more.
I've seen 600.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's higher based on the type of loan that you have and the amount, it could be your friends say higher. So imagine, you're paying like $600 insurance on the loan. Also, and no in itself is able to rent a house.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
For all what we are saying is as you pick the type of loan to go for, look at all these different dynamics, now make a decision for yourself.
Yeah.
Do I want to save at least 5%, and get a conventional loan without any mortgage insurance?
That's right.
Do I want to do a 3.5% down and pay mortgage insurance?
That's right.
And once you get that mortgage insurance, the only time for that mortgage insurance to go away is when you have about 80% of equity in the property that you purchase. So meaning, you can go all the way to maybe like the 30-year mortgage. You can go all the way to about your 20th year before that mortgage insurance.
It's a serious amount of money for a long period of time. Serious. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And see, in the interest of time, for and you marry for the time when munya na mwaboy and with one what mortgage is all about.
Yeah.
Mortgage, you're taking a loan out as a collateral against a house.
Yeah.
Or even if you already have a house and you need like a second mortgage or like a year on it, yes, you can take like an equity out of your house, which will be like a second mortgage. So you can also borrow against your house, which also become your second mortgage.
Yeah.
Anytime you sell the house, you satisfy your first mortgage and your second mortgage. You cannot make the decision and say, oh, I'll pay off the first mortgage and I'll leave the second mortgage. No, that's not that option. You have to pay the first, the second. If you have a third mortgage, you need to also pay the third mortgage. And then whatever is left over, if any, that becomes wankasa your take home. Next week, you better go into details, in terms of the types of mortgages and the different kinds of mortgage that we also have, and each of them, what down payment do you need,
Mm-hmm.
Once we're done with that, we'll transition to like refinance near there. So we'll spend some time, dealing with mortgage issue. Doug, you have more time now. You say one your friend said you're closing it, and you say so if you have anything else, for the later I can't want something to add to it.
Oh yeah, I mean, I don't have anything else to add, from what we've already added. Just, the key thing is always be patient, and don't rush into a mortgage just because you want to get it or because you see somebody else have it. You want to get it because you're fully prepared and financially ready to be able to take on that burden, right? Because being a homeowner can be a big blessing, right? But if you're not prepared, it could be it could be a burden, right? So you don't want to be in that position or that situation. So just take your time, do your due diligence and make sure that you embark on that journey when you're fully ready and prepared, and your time will come. Just be patient.
Yeah, I like what you just said. Be patient. And that's the challenge. Like a lot of us, we face. Also, life is not a competition. Just because Dr. Wu purchased a house, it doesn't mean I also have to do it.
Yeah.
As you study about your friends renting, or the difference between renting and purchasing. One case as an individual, you need to assess yourself now. Who said, do you have that financial stability, for you to get into mortgage, or are you better off renting?
That's right.
As you review one case your financial picture, because one of the things a lot of us, we forget, is that the mortgage is one thing. In addition to the mortgage, also comes the utilities. You can purchase a house. Maybe the house is maybe like $100,000, $200,000. The petrol say your payment is maybe $1,800. But in addition to that $1,800, it comes also your utilities.
That's right.
And then your HOA, all this neoma, whatever can. So assess all this, see before you get yourself into any mortgage. And you may for the opportunity. Now this short period, to me, I discuss something to do with our mortgage. Next week, you best sign up to us with our mortgage. For the muhina say nyame enka ye hina ho na onhra till say ye be shia next week,
Okay. And all
all right. Nyame enka.
all right.